Hello, it's Bailey and welcome back to my channel. I haven't filmed in a little while, so I am excited and happy to be sitting here and preparing for July by bringing you my June wrap up. I will be transparent, this is mostly just Wonderthon. I only read a couple things outside of Wonderthon. That wasn't my plan for the month. But if you didn't know, after Wonderthon, we came home from our vacation and I was going to allow myself a little break. I wanted to do some nesting and really get our house like ready to go for baby, which didn't happen because actually my grandfather ended up passing away kind of suddenly, quickly. We were prepared for it, but it did happen quick. And so I am just now, today is July 2nd. We just had the funeral yesterday, like just now kind of getting back to life. I've been cleaning all day. I picked up a book today. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at in life, but I will update you on everything I read in June. I am grateful that I did so good for Wonderthon because I read a lot of books in June, regardless of basically ghosting for 2 weeks. So as always, I'm going to start with my stats. I read a total of 22 books, totaling 3,014 pages. I read for 32 hours and my average reading speed per hour is really high this month because I read a lot of quick things and also like children's books, but that average speed was 94.2 pages an hour. And then I also listened to, this is very abnormal for me, I usually do not listen to this many audiobooks, but I listened to 75 hours of audiobooks. I read 13 physical books, 7 audiobooks, and 2 ebooks. 14 of these books I owned, 4 of them I acquired, and 4 of them were from my library. For genre, I read 7 romance books, 6 adventure, 5 nonfiction, 2 fantasy, 1 contemporary, and 1 mystery. I had 14 adult books and 8 children's books. 3 of these books were published before 2010, 7 between 2010 and 2019, 11 of them were 2020 to 2022 releases, and I had 1 2023 release. My ratings were okay. I had no DNFs and no 1 stars, but I'm still averaging kind of low. I had 7 2 stars, 7 3 stars, 5 4 stars, and 3 5 stars, making my average for the month a 3.41. And I'm gonna go ahead and get into the books now. As always, I go from my least favorite to most favorite. I did already get rid of the books that I didn't enjoy, and I don't think that for anything that I rated less than 4 stars I will be inserting the photos. So hopefully you know what books I'm talking about, but realistically it's just not gonna happen. I'm not gonna pull 15 photos to enter into this. So my least favorite book of the month was Eat, Pray, Love by Elizabeth Gilbert. This just really was not for me, and also I did listen to the audiobook and I felt as though the author should not have narrated it herself. It just was not a high quality audiobook. I also could have presumed that this was going to be fairly religious, and I am not religious, and so it was not for me. Then I have Aisha at Last by Uzma Jalaluddin. Not sure if that's how that's pronounced, I'm so sorry. But this one, the plot just felt too messy to me. There was a lot going on, which left me feeling like uninvested in anything. Now I'll just go ahead and mention all of my 2-star Magic Tree House books together here. Firstly, Rhinos at Recess, then Narwhal on a Sunny Night, as well as Late Lunch with Llamas. I rated those 3 2 stars. Then I have You Had Me at Ola by Alexis Daria. This one again was something I would enjoy an element of a lot more. I thought I would enjoy an element that I didn't, and that was like the telenovela aspect of this. I thought I would like it, and just reading it I found myself not caring about the telenovela, and it was there. So again, just a disconnect with the story for me. And my final 2-star goes to one of my favorite authors, and that is My Killer Vacation by Tessa Bailey. Girl could not write a mystery. I just felt like there were a lot of things with the mystery or like the murder aspect of this that just like would not happen in real life. So the suspension of disbelief didn't work. I also, again, like when certain things like that are happening, it's all I can focus on, so I didn't like connect to the relationship, so that got a 2-star from me. Now getting into my 3 stars, my bottom of my 3 stars is The Slippery Slope by Lemony Snicket. This is book 10 in the series of Unfortunate Events series, and I thought this one was better than some of the other ones have been, but overall I'm not enjoying this reread. I've said it before, I'll say it again, I'm still gonna finish, I'm sorry. But this one pulled a 3-star. Then for something quick to read, I read The Field Guide in the Spiderwick Chronicles by Tony Terlizzi and Holly Black. I know I read these as a kid, but I felt like I remembered nothing, so the nostalgia that I was looking for was absent, so it's not really something I would find myself enjoying now, and I honestly was just searching for the nostalgic story, so it just didn't quite work. Then I have The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. In that one, I felt like you would have to relate to the main character a lot to specifically be intrigued by the entire story, because you are living through their alternative lives or the options they could have had if they made different decisions, and if you don't have the same desires as the main character, I feel like it's just a little boring. And so that's how I was kind of feeling. Like I wouldn't be searching for the same things that they were, so it didn't quite work. I think the concept as a whole is obviously interesting, seeing how your life could have been different if you made different decisions, but I would be more interested in seeing my own than seeing this main character's. Then I did have 2 3-star Magic Tree House books, which were Sunlight on the Snow Leopard and To the Future Ben Franklin. I also gave 3 stars to So You Want to Talk About Race. With that one, I felt like I have read some other deliverances of kind of similar information that were more digestible to me. And my last 3-star was The Roughest Draft by Emily Webberly and Austin Sigmund Broca. Overall, I thought that one was a really fun romance, but nothing that's gonna stick with me. I already can like barely remember what was happening. I know that they used to write books together and are now writing a new book together reluctantly. So now for my 4 stars, firstly, my favorite, I guess, Magic Tree House book of the month was Camp Time in California. Then I had Set on You by Amy Lee. I really was just reading this one because I want to read the sequel. I believe that one is called X's and O's, but I did end up enjoying this one despite it being something I didn't think I would be interested in. It's very like gym bro and like fitness centered, and so I never really was interested in it, but overall I did think that the couple went well together. There were some things that the main male character did in the beginning that our main character was willing to forgive, but I wasn't really willing to let go. But considering that this was something that I wasn't interested in and I still gave it a 4 stars, I have even higher hopes for the sequel now. Then I have Killers of the Flower Moon by David Graham. This is a true crime book about the Osage murders and the birth of the FBI. It talks about some murders that happen within the indigenous community and then kind of how they were investigated. I found it very interesting. Like I said, this is true crime, and it is kind of separated into parts, but there is a lot of photos in this book that I thought were very interesting and very well like enhanced, considering the time period that we were kind of following here. And so if you're interested in true crime at all, I think you should give this one a read. I think this is kind of like a topic and a case. There's many cases that flies under the radar, so maybe you haven't heard of these. I personally had, but I do think that this obviously went into more depth and was more interesting than other like podcasts and things that I have consumed. Then I have kind of a surprising one. I read a graphic memoir called Good Talk by Mira Jacob, and this I kind of just grabbed because it was a graphic novel, so I knew that I could get through it quickly during Wonderthon, but it took me by surprise and I really ended up enjoying it. We follow a woman who is, I believe she says that she's East Indian in the beginning, and her husband is also Jewish, and we get a lot of like family talk with her and her son. I believe he's like 6 years old, and then also like within their relationship and their parents. And this really focuses on the time periods of 9/11 as well as the election in 2022. Is that the right year? 2020? Whenever Trump was elected. You know the one. And so I thought the story was very well done, but I also found the like artwork or the art style in this very interesting. She used a lot of like, would use the same drawings of people and then just like insert them on almost like photograph. So like we're getting like this drawing of people on top of, like I said, like a photograph, but you would see like these same drawings for these people multiple times, like they are reused. So yeah, I enjoyed that. Not sure if other people would, but I did. And then my last 4-star was actually the nonfiction book that I read for my in-person book club this month, and that was The 90s by Chuck Klosterman. I think that this balanced like talking about pop culture things versus like politics and like everything going on in the world very well. It was a very well-rounded telling of the decade, and also like reflection on the decade and like things that people think happened then that didn't really. And yeah, overall I thought it was very well told and interesting. I don't know if the 90s interest you at all. I think you should read this one. And then I had 3 5-stars. First being a very short, even though this looks like a long book, a very short novella that was in this bind up. It was like 20 something pages, which was The 11th Metal by Brandon Sanderson. This is like kind of a prequel to the Mistborn series. There's no like relevant information in it. You're getting a little side story of a character that exists within the series. It's just kind of an introduction to the world. He, I believe, wrote it for a game, so that, again, to introduce you to the world, but it was like a fun story, and I think it was well done for the length of it. And then my other 2 5-stars were The Simple Wild and Wild at Heart. The Simple Wild was actually a reread for me, and I did give it 4 stars the first time and 5 stars this time, and then it was the first time for me reading Wild at Heart. They do follow the same couple, but in this book our main character is traveling to go see her dad, who she hasn't seen in like many years because he lives in Alaska and her mother had left Alaska, but she finds out that he is not well, so she goes to spend some time there to get to know her dad basically before he passes away. But she meets this guy when she's there who at first, it's definitely like a dislike to lovers situation, but overall I really love all the characters in this series and like the sense of community, which really to me expands in this one. The couple does get together in that first book, and then this book really follows them trying to make it work, as they do not live in the same area, but they want to make their relationship work. So this is their attempt at finding common ground and somewhere they could live together and kind of making a new life for themselves. The sense of community in this one is just as strong, even though they are in a different community as the first one, and I found this one really heartwarming as well. I read this very fast, so these are definitely favorites for me. I can't wait to continue the series. I know there is a novella, and then I think there's another book coming out soon, so hopefully they're just as good. But that is all. That is my June. Like I said, coming into July here, I am preparing to have this baby. So depending on when she comes, I'm planning on having a successful reading month. I'm sure there will be a week or so there where not much happens. But my last maternity leave, I read a lot when I was actually like taking care of the baby during the day and like, during the night. So we'll just see how July goes. I know at the beginning of the month here, I am trying to start off strong. So thank you so much for spending some time with me today, and I will see you again very soon. Bye.